Hey everybody, if you guys are fans of Pat Metheny, you must have noticed that he does some crazy atonal sounding stuff on his breaks. I'm going to break down Third Wind. It's an iconic solo break from him, probably one of my favorite solos in general, but it starts so strong. The whole band drops off and he just shreds for like a few measures. I think it's like 4 bars of just Metheny alone playing these crazy 16th note lines. First of all, let's understand some context. This song and the harmonic progression leading into the solo break just kind of goes from an F major, which is really an F7 Mixolydian kind of sound. And then it goes, it's a very iconic Pat Metheny kind of progression to a D flat major 7 over F. In a way, it's kind of like going from a Mixolydian sound to an Aeolian sound, if you're just thinking about it stationary in F. But regardless, you have that F tonal center in your ear. Now, he's starting off his line in a very unusual place. Usually, what most jazz players would do would play some sort of C7 sound to lead back to that F. They'd make a cadence. He's not doing that. He's using the tritone sub of that F. He's using a B7, but he's using a B7 with a flatted 9th. That sound. Now, where does that come from? Symmetric diminished. When you see a tritone substitution, but the tension on the sub is a flat 9, not a 9, you know it's coming from symmetric diminished. And symmetric diminished is the meat and potatoes of his lick that he's playing here. So it's F half whole symmetric diminished, which is also B half whole symmetric diminished. It's the same. But the notes he's choosing are really kicking cool. So he's doing this, I see it as a B7 arpeggio. That's how he starts, with a flat 9. This little line. So what is that, right? That's just a B7 arpeggio with a flat 9, and then it's this enclosure around an F. So there's this little line that's on the B7, and after that he goes straight into his typical minor thirds down shape, which he uses to transition. So I would call this whole part chunk 1, right? In terms of the picking, it's a lot of hammer-ons. If you guys haven't checked out my other Metheny lesson, I talk more in depth about the technique where you play one string with downstrokes and use hammer-ons from nowhere to descend. If you don't have that technique together, any Metheny stuff is going to be impossible to play. All these are legato notes on the A string descending. Let's say we got chunk A, which is symmetric diminished with a B7 arpeggio. And then from here, we got this little pull-off and descending thirds till we get to that F. That's chunk 1. Now in this position, he does a really cool little symmetric diminished run, still staying in the same scale. He goes. Now that lick is very comfortable on the guitar if you finger it correctly. It's hammer on, pull off, hammer on from nowhere, downstroke. And that's just F half whole symmetric diminished starting from the 6th degree. And then here, when you get to that B note, it's just a part of an enclosure leading to the 3rd of F. And then he does the thing that makes it really sound outside. He plays the same pattern a third away, a major third away. Now what does that do? That slides him to the half whole diminished scale that's a half step up. It's as if you went to F sharp symmetric diminished for an instant, right? So that's pretty cool. Now, after that, he just plays this chromatic shape that goes... I think about that as some sort of whole tone sound or augmented sound, just a little chunk. But if you want to know where it starts, if you're thinking in F, it's on the 6th degree. And now he just moves it chromatically 2 more times. Check this out. So the whole lick up to that point. The last phrase is this little chromatic enclosure thing around the root. So he uses this F right here, and he goes chromatically up, jumps to the 4th, to the flatted 3rd, all the way down to the 9, and encloses the root. So maybe practice that like one long enclosure. Little beboppy thing just surrounding the root. Right after that enclosure on the F, there's a pretty unusual thing. It's sort of like a sidestep, but it's a sidestep not from where you'd expect it. If you were a fan of Metheny's music, you'll notice a lot when he has a dominant chord, he plays the pentatonic of the 5th, meaning it's sort of this sound on the F. Like C minor pentatonic on that F7. So what he does with the sidestep is he pushes it a half step up to D flat minor pentatonic to get that out sound. But if I play it here, in that 5th position D flat minor pentatonic, I have these notes. So I have that enclosure lick, D flat minor pentatonic, and then the way he finishes it is those hammer-ons from nowhere. So the whole lick real slow. As I play it, notice how little I'm picking, and notice the balance between hammer-ons and pull-off. I'm going to play it sort of medium speed now, not to make it more confusing, but to actually be more honest about the motion. When you slow things down past a point, you start really using different motions with your right hand. But Pat Metheny is very much a legato player. So check this out. Hope you learned something from this. Please join the channel. We have tons of content coming out from all your favorite players. Like this, ring the bell, leave a comment, tell us what your thoughts are. We always answer, and we try to make more videos that are more suited for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.